Good morning, dear Form 4 students, and welcome to another edition of our online learning. Today we shall study human geography, and under module 2 entitled Management of Natural Resources. I am Winston Timothy, your geography teacher. Our lesson of today is entitled Agriculture as a System, because after having learned the definition and the importance of agriculture, it is important for us to look at agriculture as a system. As plan of our presentation, we have the introduction. We shall review agriculture and its importance, which was our last topic. We are going to look at the lesson objectives, and in our presentation, we shall look at agriculture as a system. In our conclusion, we shall have our usual activity, which consists of an exercise to do, as well as an assignment. When we talk about agriculture, it is important for us to know that it is a very beneficial activity which many people are involved in. When we talk about a system is actually a set of components, a set of things which are working together. Even when we talk about a school, we can say a school is a system. We talk about agriculture is a system. We talk about an environment is a system. So therefore, today's lesson is entitled Agriculture as a System, because we want to look at what comes into agriculture, what takes place in agriculture, and what goes out of agriculture to make it a system. By the end of this lesson, you are expected to describe agriculture as a system. Good. Let's now look at what we studied in our previous lesson. And we studied the definition of agriculture. And I remember very well that we concluded by saying that agriculture can be defined as the purposeful cultivation of crops and the rearing of animals, either for home consumption or for sale. And we discussed on the importance of agriculture, some of which include the fact that agriculture serves as a source of food. We said agriculture provides employment. We said agriculture serves as a source of raw materials for industries. We said agriculture also serves as a source of income to the people. And finally, we said agriculture serves as a source of foreign income earning. That's why. So coming to the lesson of today, let's talk about agriculture as a system. Like I said before, a system consists of components or things which act as parts to make it a whole. And whenever we say a system, it means it consists of inputs, consists of processes, and therefore output. That's why we say agriculture is a system with inputs. Take note of input into the farm, with processes. Take note of processes which takes place in the farm, and finally output which comes out from the farm. So agriculture is made up of inputs, made up of processes, and made up of outputs. That's what makes agriculture a system. So let's look, what are the inputs therefore, or the components that make up agriculture as a system. We can talk about the inputs, and these are the physical, the human, and economic inputs that come into the farm. When we talk about processes, they are the methods used as they vary according to the inputs and the technology that is available. When we talk about the output, these are simply the crops harvested and the products obtained from animals. There's another important component of agriculture which was as a system is the feedback. The feedback is actually what is invested back into agriculture as input, because maybe after having obtained the crop, some of them can be reused as manure, or after having had the profit, you can reinvest by buying some of the inputs into the farm. So we have inputs, we have processes, we have output, and we have feedbacks. Let's now look at the agriculture as a system. Here we have inputs, and the inputs into the farm or into agriculture are physical. We have in the middle, we have processes, and here we have output. Now let's continue. For the physical inputs, we have rainfall. Rainfall comes into the farm as input and is under a physical component known as climate. Another important element of climate is the temperature, which comes in as an input into the farm. We also have sunlight, which is a physical input into the farm. From there, we can talk about the second physical element, physical input, which is the relief. That is the land. Is the land level? Is it steep? That is what we are talking about. The third physical element which constitutes an input is the soil fertility. So soil fertility will determine whether agriculture should be carried out or not. These are the physical inputs into the farm. Now let's talk about the human and economic factors or the inputs into the farm. For you to carry out labor, a very important input that you need is labor. You need people to work into the farm. You also need seeds of good quality. If not, it will not work. We have farming tools, equipment that you use in working. We have fodder crops. Fodder crops are actually meant for the rearing of animals, for the feeding of animals. You have buildings because they will constitute an input to the farm. You also have energy. Energy is needed, which is an input into the farm. And we have fuel. Fuel is used as an input into the farm. And we have electricity. Electricity is also another important human and economic input that is used in the farm. Now, these inputs put together will generate what is called processes. There will be processes here, and the processes involved are divided into two. We have processes under crop cultivation, and we have processes under animal rearing. Let's look at the processes under crop cultivation. What is done in the farm? That is, processes are what take place in the farm. You must clear the farm. There is tilling of the farm. There is planting. There is weeding. There is pest and disease control, and there is harvesting. And for the animals, we have milking, we have shearing, we have meat processing. All of these are the processes involved in the farm. Now let's talk about the output. When we talk about the output, this is what comes out from the farm. And the outputs are also divided into two. We have outputs from crops and then outputs which are from animals. When you cultivate a farm, you expect to have crops such as cereals. Cereals here can include things like maize, like rice, grains, can be beans and all the like. We have tubers, and tubers here can also include crops like potatoes, cocoyams, amongst others. We also have vegetables. Vegetables here can include things like carrots, tomatoes, bitter leaf, cabbages, lettuce, and all the like. These are vegetables. And we can also have fruits. you know, as many fruits such as oranges, lemon, limes, grapes, amongst others. So these are output under crops. As concerns output under animals, we have meat, we have eggs, we have milk, we have hide and skin, and we have wool. All of these comes out from animals. That said, when you must have had these output, you could sell them and obtain profit. And when you have the profit, you could still use the profit in buying some of these components. For instance, if you obtain money, you could use the money to pay labor, to buy seeds, to buy tools, and other things, and therefore, which is considered as feedback. For instance, some of these crops, some of these tubers and all the like could decompose and also form manure, which comes against as input into the farm. So this is what we talk about feedback. So generally, dear Form 4 students, when we talk about agriculture as a system, take note of the input, which gives way to processes, and finally which gives way to output. And we must talk about the feedbacks, which comes back to input. So I hope you understood agriculture as a system. So dear learners, we have come to the end of our lesson today, and I call on you to continue to pay attention, continue to work harder, especially this activity that we are going to do. You identify the inputs, the processes, and the outputs of agriculture. Do that, and we are going to continue in our next class. Thank you very much. Continue to stay safe, work harder, do your assignments so that we are going to succeed. Thank you very much and have a blessed day.